Forest is a movie starring Natalie Dormer, who you know from Game of Thrones and Hunger Games. She plays a character named Sara, who's looking for her twin sister Jess.
My sister, Jess.
And I.
We're identical twins. When something happens to one of us, the other one can tell.
Her sister went into Aokigahara Forest. It's where lost people go to commit suicide.
I'm coming, Jess.
From the get-go, I was kind of thinking this movie was going to be pretty bad. I actually had a pretty good movie experience going to see the movie. I happened to go catch the movie in a theater that happened to be completely empty, and so it made it scarier than it probably actually is. Overall, the movie, I do like the camera work throughout the entire movie, but the acting seems to be a little stale. Specifically, there's one scene where Natalie Dormer plays Sara and Jess, and they're kind of interacting with each other, and it's strange to say, but she doesn't have chemistry with herself. It just, like, you can tell that she's playing both characters, and it's like awkward. The movie tries too hard. That's the biggest problem with this movie. It tries to become this psychological thriller, and it's not. It gives too much foreshadowing in the beginning of the movie, and so me personally, I kind of figured out exactly what was going to happen at the end. It has the big issues that a lot of horror movies, specifically horror movies coming out of January, rely too much on jump scares. You have to know how to pace a horror film. I'm a big fan of horror films, and I've watched a lot of them. I've watched the good ones, and I've watched the bad ones. The bad ones are hilarious to me, and there are some funny moments in here just simply because of just how it's done. There's a scene where Sara and the generic guy that she's supposed to have an attraction to are kind of interacting while going into the forest, and then you have your Japanese tour guide who is just standing from afar and just waiting for them, and I could swear you can just read the guy's mind. It's like, can you guys hurry the fuck up? For me, the scariest part of the entire movie is a scene halfway into it when she's in the hotel walking down a hall. I actually really enjoyed the first half of it more when they weren't in the forest, which is a lot to say about this movie because it's called The Forest. The best part should be in the forest. The scariest part should be in the forest. Because of what a lot of modern horror films rely too much on jump scare, it takes away from the experience. So you almost prepare yourself for the jump scares, and once the jump scares happen, you're the moment after that, I was like, okay, so for the next 5 minutes, I'm not going to be scared. It doesn't know how to build the tension. There's so many generic scenes that makes this movie just like any other horror film.
At night, people see bad things.
If you're bored one night and decide to throw this on, go ahead and I'll catch it on TV. I wouldn't necessarily say go watch it in theaters. It really isn't anything special. If I were to recommend horror films you should go watch instead are really out. Probably The Conjuring or Sinister. I enjoyed those movies a lot more. I haven't seen the It Follows yet. Apparently that's supposed to be pretty good. Hopefully The Conjuring 2 is going to be a much better film than this. So my biggest problems with it was the acting and just how generic the plot was overall, which is very upsetting because of its source material. It's based off an actual forest. I would have loved for them to done something more creative with that. She should have been running down through the forest, and people should have been killing themselves all around her. They just kind of had these shots where you see faces and stuff of the dead spirits. That's not special. If you want to make a good horror film, you have to have the audience member really feel the emotions of the main protagonist sphere and all their emotions that they're going through trying to escape. If you are a fan of horror films, you might like this movie, expecting it to follow a certain formula. Certain people do like watching horror films that aren't necessarily any good. That's the people I would recommend this film for. But usually for people who aren't really fans of the genre, this movie isn't going to sell you on horror. It isn't necessarily anything special, and I can't stress that enough. Which is disappointing because I am a fan of the actress that this film stars. I give this movie a C-. Hopefully you liked my review. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment this video. Have a good day.